Hey guys, this is Kimberly. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how I edited this photo from this into this. Or sorry, from this into this. I added lots of light rays, I changed the greens, I made this tree all nice and pretty and pink. And of course I got rid of that. It's a lot of work, but it's pretty fun. So I'll show you how to do that. So I'm gonna go ahead and crop my photo, or rotate it and then crop it. So about, oops. There you go. So about one, oh, that's the wrong one. There you go, arbitrary, and I'm about one. And then I'm gonna go ahead and crop it just about right here. I just don't want the white pole right there. I could easily remove it, but I'm lazy sometimes. So next I'm gonna use my clone stamp tool to go ahead and get rid of that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger, and then I'm just gonna clone it away. And then there's a bug up here, so I'm just gonna go ahead and clone that away too. Okay, and now I'm gonna go ahead and duplicate my layer. I'm gonna go to filter, camera raw filter. And I'm gonna work on making the yellows more green. First I'm gonna fix my lens correction real quick. I'm just gonna make it a little bit more purple. And then I'm gonna go ahead and go to HSL/grayscale. For hue, I'm gonna adjust the green slider. That's a nice green color. And then I'm gonna adjust the yellow slider too. So you see it looks way better. I live in a part of California that's very droughty, so it's always dead. So my grass is usually really yellow, so I always have to work on that to fix it. But I do what I can. So I'm gonna go ahead and add a little more yellow right there. Or sorry, add a little more green. So I'm just gonna reduce the yellow a bit. Okay, then I'm gonna go ahead and merge all this together. I'm gonna duplicate layer again. And then next I'm gonna work on the tree. I'm gonna work on making it a nice, pretty pink. So I'm gonna go ahead and select this layer area. I'm gonna unselect all of this because I don't really need it up. I'm gonna unselect right here. This always happens. This will be good enough. I'll erase everything else. Okay, then I'm gonna go to layer, new adjustment layer, brightness and contrast. I'm gonna reduce the contrast just a bit. I'm sure there's an easier way to do this, but this is kind of how I do it. I'm gonna go ahead and reselect it, and then I'm going to go to hue/saturation. I'm on the default right now. I'm gonna make it red boost. So as you can see, I'm kind of moving it around just a bit. We're gonna want it pink, so I'm making it right here. And then I'm gonna go to reds. Gonna play around with those just a bit, make it nice and pink. And there we go. And then I'm just gonna erase all of this over here because it doesn't really need to be pink along with the tree. And I'm just gonna erase over here. I'm gonna merge these together. So we got our pink tree, but it's very vibrant. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna reduce the contrast just a bit. Just because I want it pink, it's just I don't want it where it's overpowering the rest of the photo. Okay, and then I'm merging it. So we got our pink tree, we got our green grass, and now we're gonna of course add a little bit of background blur using Gaussian blur. Just enough where it's not too much in the background. It's about 22. You're gonna erase everything down here, and then go ahead and erase off of your subject. Which mine is this beautiful little girl. I've worked with her 2 times so far for photo shoots. This is my 2nd time, and she is 3. She acts like a little adult. She is absolutely amazing. I love working with her. And I cannot wait to work with her again, honestly. She is the best. So now I'm going to add a little bit of light rays. Oops, sorry, I'm trying to fix something off a screen. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and duplicate the layer again, actually. There you go. Gonna duplicate the layer, have it right here. I'm gonna go ahead and go to Filter, Render, Lens Flare, and then I'm gonna make my lens flare about right here. So you see we got a nice pretty lens flare right there. And then, sorry, I'm gonna go ahead and fade it just a bit. I don't want it to be too overpowering, and then I'm gonna erase off of my subject. Fade it a little more. And then if you look closely, you can kind of see like an orange ring. So I'm going to use my clone stamp tool to get rid of that. You don't really have to, it's just it always bothers me, so I like to blend it in. The next thing you're going to do is use your dust brush tool. If you don't have one, I will put a link in my description of the Etsy on how to make your own to a YouTube video. It's really helpful. It's how I always do it. I love doing it. Oh, I always do this. Okay, here we go. There's our one. I use my clone stamp tool next, then you always got to make sure you use the right tool. As you can see, that's kind of a big brush, so I'm going to make it a little smaller. About right there's good. So the light is very focused on her, so I'm going to make sure I get lots of the dust brush tool on her. And as you see, I'm just kind of going crazy covering her. So I'm going to make it stronger on her and a little bit less strong on the rest of the photo, because she's very lit up. Once you're done with this, you're not going to be able to really see your photo, but we'll fix it. So I'm just waiting on my computer to catch up. It's always slow. Okay, so this is what we got now. What we're going to do is go to Filter, Blur, Motion Blur, and then you're going to go ahead and adjust it to where the sun is coming from. So my rays are coming from right here. So then you're going to press OK. We're going to back to Blur, going to Gaussian Blur, and then adjust it to how you want it. So I want it to be kind of faded but noticeable. So then around 36, press OK. Lower the opacity, and then go ahead and brush off of your subject. I'm going to up my hardness just a bit because I don't want it to have a halo around her. Make it a little smaller. Make my hardness a little softer, and then lower my opacity on the eraser tool. I'm just going to make some more rays. So there we go. I'm gonna soften it a little right here. Merge these together. So this is what we have so far. You're gonna open up your new layer. What I like to do is I like to add a little orange up here. It's totally up to you if you want to or not, but I prefer it. So what I do next is I choose my paintbrush tool and I go to the orange color that I always use. I have about 11 opacity and then I just paint it on there. And then I lower the opacity a lot. So it's not that much of a noticeable difference, but I just prefer doing it. So I'm gonna go ahead and go in closer and I'm gonna erase right here this strand of hair. I think it's not that pretty, just this tiny little strand. I think it's bothering me. So I'm gonna use my clone stamp tool to get rid of it. Right there is good. And then I'm gonna go to liquefy. And I'm gonna add a little more wave in her hair. That's a little too big. About right here. This little girl has the most gorgeous hair ever. I usually always add a little thickness to the hair using liquefy, but her hair is absolutely amazing, so it's not even needed. So then I'm gonna go back to liquefy and I'm add a tiny, tiny, tiny little smile. It's really preferable, or it's your preference. I choose to, but it's really up to you. And add a little smile. Merge it again, of course. And then now I'm gonna go a little bit closer. She does have a little dry skin right there, so I'm gonna use my clone stamp tool to get rid of it. So just cloning right here. And that's gone. Now I'm gonna work on her skin. So, or I'm gonna work on her instead of the background. So first I'm going to go ahead and brighten her up a little bit. Actually, I'll work on the dress first and then I'll work on her. So I'm gonna go to filter, camera raw filter. The dress is white. As you can tell, it's very bluish and it's kind of over. So over bright. So I'm gonna adjust the temperature to yellow. I'm gonna reduce the highlight completely and lower the exposure a bit. And then down the shadows. Then I'm just gonna erase it off of everything I don't want those changes to, which is everything but the dress. Again, there's probably easier ways to do this, it's just how I prefer to do it. I'm not really a stickler for new learnings. Don't think that makes sense, but oh well. So I'm just gonna keep erasing off of everything I don't want it on. I'm gonna get her hair right here. As you can tell, the dress already looks a lot better. I'm gonna go back to filter and then camera filter again, and I'm just gonna use the highlights just a little bit down. So you can tell there's a giant difference already. I'm gonna go ahead and merge it and duplicate again. And now I'm gonna work on her skin coloring. So I'm gonna go to color balance, add some yellow. She's a little green, so I'm gonna add a little bit of magenta. I'm also gonna add a little bit red. And then I'm gonna press Control I to invert it. And then I'm gonna go in with my paintbrush to go ahead and paint on her skin. And then you're gonna go ahead and merge all the layers together. Next, as you can see, she's kind of dark, so I'm gonna go back to camera raw filter. And I'm gonna go ahead and brighten up the shadows on her. and brighten her skin up just a bit. And then I'm gonna go ahead and erase everything else. Where I'm at, these are pretty much the only little wildflowers we have is like daffodils. So I don't get those pretty blue bonnets or everything else, sunflowers. I have to work with what I got. Hopefully I'll find a flower field, but for right now, this is what I have. And so I use it. I always kind of use that eye tool to see where I haven't erased yet. So you can see right here, I missed it. It's just a way to make it more clean overall. Okay, then I'm gonna go ahead and lower it. I don't want her to be too bright, so I'm gonna go back to camera raw filter. I like the shadow right here, so I'm gonna go ahead and add a little more shadow. Add a little more black, and then okay it. And then I'm gonna, actually let me add that to full. I'm gonna erase it a little bit right here at a lower opacity just to make sure her arm's not too bright. There we go. I'm gonna go in again, and I'm gonna use my eyedropper tool right below her eye to go ahead and get rid of the dark circle. So I'm gonna use my eyedropper tool, use my paintbrush at about 15, and I'm just gonna paint that away. I usually go over it 2-3 times just to make sure I get it, and then I lower the opacity as needed. And then I'm gonna use my dodge tool to make her eyes a little brighter. And then my burn tool, I use that to kind of add darkness to her eyelashes or mascara-ish. Because she's a 3-year-old, you're not really going to have mascara on her, but it does heighten her eyes. And then lower the opacity. What I'm going to choose to do next is I'm going to choose to add a little pink to her cheeks. So I'm going to choose a nice little pink color. Make my brush a little bigger, and then put it about 11. And then just paint it on there. And then I'm going to choose to go ahead and put a little bit on her lips too. I'm going to erase it a little bit just to make sure it's not too much. And the last thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and brighten her hair just a bit with a dodge tool. Because I feel like her hair is a little too dark. I'm just going to go ahead and paint over it. Paint over her cheeks just a bit. And there we have it. This is before and this is after. I hope this tutorial helped you guys out some. As you can tell, it's a lot of work, but it's how you change the image completely. I don't use any I only hand edit. I don't use any presets or actions, so I hope this helps you figure out how to do this on your own. And of course, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. I'm going to be posting the link to my photography group on the Etsy page about, you can join it and ask any questions, or yeah, just feel free to message me. Bye guys.